there, welcome to today's Business Growth Club show. We are so pleased to have you here. The theme is growth marketing.
We're talking about actions and consequences today.
It's all about purpose.
Driving business growth with using KPIs.
We're talking money mindset.
The Growth Club, I mean, not to oversell it, but it's so well organised. So yeah, it was totally invaluable.
The Growth Club, coupled alongside with the Masters that I'm doing at Strategic Leadership at the moment, both of those things happening collectively have definitely transformed, and the Growth Club did have a massive impact for our business.
What is it that attracted you to come to the Growth Club in the first place? Let me just ask you to start off with that.
Well, because it was the two of you, basically.
Welcome everyone. So that's my little faux pas. Hi Joe, how the devil are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Yeah.
Another great weekly show we're going to be broadcasting tonight. We are going to be talking productivity hacks for entrepreneurs. And you're probably thinking, what is that magnificent high-tech piece of equipment Mahmood has got behind him? I am going to be participating in an experiment that me and Joe got together there as well. More of that will be revealed later on in the show.
Yeah, we've got some good productivity hacks, some really quick things that you can do and things to think about. So a few unusual ones as well. So really glad that you're here with us. As always, no BS, straightforward business stuff that really, really works and makes a difference. And it's about doing the right things in the right way and getting there smartly, quickly and sustainably, isn't it, Mahmood? That's what it's all about.
Absolutely. And when me and Joe were thinking about what shall we talk about tonight, it's building on what we've talked about from previous weeks, other things, and it's about the practical stuff. So entrepreneurs, business people, we know that time is a very rare commodity. We need to make sure that time is really expended effectively. So we're going to share some thoughts with you about tips, tricks, hacks, experimentation, all of that to come in a very compact 25 minutes, half an hour.
Yeah, and we'd love to know what your productivity tips and hacks are, what you use, what works for you. So do share those, let us know. And a big welcome if you're watching. Do say hi in the comments. We've got a hi from Richard there. So it's good to see you. Hope you're doing okay. And we're going to get started with the show. So the first thing we're going to do is, shall we launch into our experiment, Mahmood?
Yeah, this could be very painful, listeners and viewers. So we haven't rehearsed this, so I've got no idea what's to be expected. All I know is that we have blown some of the Business Growth Club budget on high-tech flip chart paper and pens. So Joe is going to conduct this experiment. She hasn't got a white lab coat on tonight. But Joe, take it away. What are we going to do?
So I'm going to recreate an experiment that's quite famous, and it's done to really think about productivity. So I'm going to say no more than that. I'm just going to say before we start, hello to Miranda as well. So Miranda, it's great to see you. Thank you for joining us. Let us know what you think as we go through. Mahmood's about to do an experiment. Now, before he starts, I'm still trying to recover from the giggles I had watching him wrestle it into his studio. That was quite something to behold, and then get the height right. Yeah, we were like an old married couple doing a flat pack, weren't we? I was shouting instructions and you were getting frustrated.
No, I was putting up with you, Joe.
You were very good. Okay, so Mahmood, when I say go, but not yet, because I'm going to time you, okay? The thing you're going to do is you're going to write two separate things on your flip chart. The first one, and as fast as you can, the first one is, I am a great multitasker. So don't start yet. You're going to write the sentence, I am a great multitasker. And then you're going to write on a separate line the numbers 1 to 20 as numerically, with a comma in between. So was that clear?
I am a great multitasker.
Yeah.
And the numbers 1 to 20 broken up by a comma underneath.
Yeah. So when you're ready, set, go. So as we were saying, this is a famous experiment, and we're going to try different things and see if, do you know this experiment? Have you done it before? Maybe you want to play along at home as well and see how long it takes you. So Mahmood's doing okay so far. I think it's a good job we bought a new flip chart pen. No expense spared. Okay, stop. So that was 26 seconds. So I'm going to write that down.
And does that put me in the medal? Does that put me in the medal table, or?
That puts you in a, yeah. Now what we're going to do is going to rip that off, Mahmood, so you can't cheat for the next round.
Okay.
But don't worry, we will recycle this. It will get used for other things. We can use the back of it and all sorts of stuff. So now this is where we need to pay attention, and I'm just going to swap my camera over. Okay, so now, Mahmood, what I'd like you to do is you're going to do the same again as fast as you can, only you're going to go I1, A2, M3, and so on until you've written, so you should put the commas, I am a multitasker, and 1, 2, 3. Okay, so you do one item from the top row, one from the bottom, one from the top, one from the bottom, and keep moving through until you finish the whole sentence until you've got to number 20.
Okay.
So I'll just let's have a
drum
go.
roll. Can we have a drum roll here?
A drum roll, yes. I'll just swap this over. Hopefully we're back. Ready, reset, go. So toggling between the two. There we go. He's laughing. And if you're listening and watching, then please be reassured that we did test that the wire cable in Mahmood's headphones did stretch to the headphones. That's the one thing we tested, because we didn't want him to come unstuck halfway through the performance. So that's the one bit of rehearsal that we actually did. And how's he getting on? Okay.
I'm sure I've messed something up, but there we go.
Okay, right, so that was 38 seconds. Okay, 38 seconds, Mahmood. How did that feel?
It was great, because I think it's the whole thing about multitasking, isn't it? It's really switch tasking. Your brain's oscillating very quickly between the two of them, and I just got stuck halfway thinking, how do you spell am and how do you spell a?
Okay, so we're going to take it to the advanced level. Do you think you're ready for it?
I'm not quite sure, actually. As long as I've moved out of remedial class, let's have a look.
Okay, so let's have a look at this. So this time what you're going to do is you're going to combine them. So you're going to do I1, A2, M, even I have to think about it. Oops, M3. Yeah, so you're going to do IM, so you're going to toggle them in between. So get rid of that, flip that over.
More wasted. Well, it's not wasted, we will be recycling.
Yeah, is that clear?
I believe so, yeah. So basically it's the sentence and the numbers interspersed but on the same line.
On the same line, yes. So I will switch the camera back. Let's have a look. And then this is the last go round. So if you're wondering where this is going, you'll soon find out. So back to the timer. We're reset, ready, steady, off you go. So we've got 26 seconds for the first round, and we've got 38 seconds for the second round. See how Mahmood gets on with this one. Of course, I can't quite see it well, and my eyesight's not good enough to check whether or not he's doing it right. So we'll just have to trust him on the quality
you can trust me implicitly.
The quality of the outcome. How's he do? A, yeah. Okay, 40. Interesting. Still going. Good. You're doing really well, Mahmood. You've got a very agile brain. Right, stop. So that one was slightly longer at 40 seconds. Now, what is the point? What is the point, you're all thinking? Well, what this experiment actually shows in real life, and we'll let Mahmood just recover from all that mental dexterity that he's demonstrated there, is that when we are multitasking, we're not actually multitasking, we're toggling from one thing to another. Our brains are switching from one thing to another, and it slows us down. But we feel inside like we're more productive. We feel like we're getting more done, but only because it's costing us more work mentally. So Mahmood, what was your experience of that? Did that ring true for you?
I think definitely so, and I think there's 2 or 3 things. I think when you're switch tasking or toggle tasking here, it's a false economy, and for me, it's a bit like building a house where you're doing lots of electrical wiring. So if you go into a house, you see dangling bits of wire there. Nothing's actually quite complete. It's all nearly complete, but nearly complete is actually not good for anybody there as well.
Yeah.
I can understand why people do that because they feel some sense of accomplishment. So it's about really moving your brain to say, do task 1, get it out of the way, do task 2, get it out of the way, and so it goes on here. The second part of that task I found more challenging, but for me, as you get into it, you can certainly see a pattern emerging and the speed picks up.
Yeah, because what slows us down is that your brain's got to leave one part of the task behind and then quickly get up to speed with the next part of a new task. So we're constantly having to let go of stuff, refresh ourselves of stuff, let go of stuff, refresh. So working without distraction, even if it's for 10, 15-minute bursts, say, right, I'm going to do nothing else in the next 15 minutes. I'm just going to focus on this. That is the first productivity hack. It makes a heck of a load of difference. And everything that we share with you is supported by some sort of science, some study, as well as real life work. It works in real life as well. Yeah.
Have I broken a world record there, Joe, or have I got more work to be done on that?
I think it can always go faster, and I think what we ought to work on is you halving that time. But we'll keep the coaching going, and we'll. No, you did brilliantly, and it's just a bit of fun, really, to see. So, what's your favourite productivity hack then, Mahmood, for saving time and getting things done quickly?
Well, it's interesting, actually. I mean, I've just gone through a very interesting tax season, for example, in my own business. I've just had a reflection on that because I've just had 26 years in business on this Monday. My favourite productivity hack is the eating the frog. So in other words, that says the tasks that actually are quite critical in your business, the ones that always get put on the back burner, what I tend to do nowadays, first thing in the morning, when I get to my office, is literally do that task. So typically it might be a piece of client work that's got to be completed, a letter that's got to be drafted, whatever, but I always eat that unpleasant frog in the morning. Everything thereafter that becomes a really good accomplishment. So that would be probably the last few years my favourite productivity hack.
Yeah, I think that's a really good one, and I love that. I think it was Brian Tracy that came up with the expression "eat the frog," or he's credited with saying that. I think for me, I think limiting time sucks. So by that I mean, what is really sucking your time? What can you start doing, and then you end up in the abyss of nothingness, and you look up, and all that time has flown past. So it's things like limiting the news, because that's on, particularly, when there's anything new with coronavirus and we're all like watching it over, and it's the same stuff over and over, but we sort of, we have it on in the background or whatever, and it distracts. So having sort of certain times when you're going to look at stuff. And I think, apps, alerts, social media, news, news on the phone right now. And then it's just so easy to keep scrolling. So just really managing that and having some structure and a bit of discipline around it as well.
I think that's more so as well, because I think definitely what I have noticed, certainly in the last few years, I think that we have more noise going on. So, we have social media, we have emails, and I think there's more noise going on, there's more notifications coming through. And I think actually that bit of silence, that bit of just cutting that bit out of your day, so it's actually you're in the zone, you're focusing, is a great way of actually looking at productivity increase as well.
Yeah, it's so true, because whenever we respond to an alert, we're doing that multitasking. So it's going to take us longer to get back into what we were working on in the first place. And we're wasting time getting into what it is in front of us. But it's always a response to somebody else's priority. And unless it's your job and your business is all about responding to those priorities, that's a different thing. That's how you make money. So that's fine. But, it's other people are trying to get our attention, and our time and our energy and our attention, there's only so many hours in the day. It's precious stuff. Once it's gone, it's gone. So I think it's really making sure and valuing that attention, and not just throwing it away willy-nilly, and the energy that goes with it. So you can have that quote, anyone, don't throw your time away willy-nilly. It's I don't think that one will make a meme, but never mind.
You never know.
Yeah. And the environment we're in as well, do you find are you more productive or less productive in winter?
It doesn't actually make a great deal of difference for me, actually. I would say there's 2 or 3 things, and I'd pick up on that. Number one, when you look at environment, I think there's your own personal environment, your own personal health, your own personal space. That has a lot to do with it. So what's going on up there, you know, how you're responding to stuff that's going on, your whole mindset. I think that can really impact on your productivity. So if you're not feeling 100%, if you're feeling under the weather, if you're not looking after your own health, your diet, exercise, and all the rest of it, I think that can have an impact. For me, actually, generally speaking, it makes not a lot of difference. If in some perverse way, I actually think I work more hours, if that's possible, in the winter time, because in the summertime, you get slightly tempted by the good weather. You want to go out, you know, when in that world when we could socialise and see people. So I would say probably the winter time, just about, is probably where I'm more productive.
Yeah. So it's and as entrepreneurs, it's about, you know, really making the most of the energy. I think I know what you mean about the winter. It's that there are fewer temptations, but there's something about, I feel more efficient in the summer because of the light and the fresh air and the greenery, you know. So I think so at any time, like, energy's flagging, if you know, if you've really got a deadline, you've really got to push through, then go outside and get some daylight, as long as it is daylight, and go and get some fresh air, even if it's 10 minutes, do something and come back in again. I've got 4 inches of snow here.
You're saying now?
Yeah. And just, I've been, you know, just standing outside looking at the snow, watching, you know, seeing what's going on, just to get some fresh air and re-energize. So the other thing is about apps that help you organize yourself. And we've mentioned some other ones here before, but we're going to mention some different ones. So let us know, do you use things like Trello? Do you use Monday.com? Do you use Slack? Do you use Asana? Is anybody using anything like that? And Richard's saying he loves to get a head start at the end of the day to prepare for tomorrow's tasks. That's a really cool productivity tip as well. Yeah, thank you for that, Richard. Yes, so if you can finish the end of one day knowing what you're going to do.
Plan.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's really awesome.
So Miranda's got one there as well. So let's have a look at this one here.
Oh, yes. Pomodoro technique, which is Italian for tomato, I believe.
So the tomato technique.
Yes. So that's where you work for a certain amount of time. You sprint, you focus on nothing else, set a timer, could be 20 minutes, depends. And then you go, right, after 20 minutes, after this focus, I'm going to have a break, really short break, and then I'm going to go again. And you keep working in sprints. That's a brilliant way. Do you use that?
Yeah, I do, and that's got a wider application. It's used very much in sort of exercise, where we do a sprint exercise. Yeah. It's also used in software development, where people the new methodology about agile sprint technology, so where you do things in small bursts, you set yourself up in Scrum. So I think short bursts of energy, short bursts of concentration to do that. I think the only slight thing against that is, I think for me, it's like a mindset thing as well, because some people see things like admin, accounts, finance as admin tasks without actually the real tangible benefit for me. For me, my brain might be slightly wired differently, but actually I see those as very positive tasks here. So looking at the outcomes that you get from that means it's less of, oh, let's get the shitty stuff out, there's already the poor stuff out of the way and do that. But yeah, sprints are good. But whatever you do, you know, you've got to really plan your time and sort of structure it carefully.
Yeah, and I like the 20 minutes on, short break that Pomodoro brings, because there's lots of research around learning and concentration and focus that shows that we can only really concentrate for up to around 20 minutes, and after that, unless we go into, you know, a really deep flow and very fluid with what we're doing, concentration can decline. Also, of course, time expands to, you know, the work expands to fit the time available to do it. So Pomodoro is a really nice way of compressing it. So we mentioned some apps. So let us know about apps. I'm a big Trello fan. Do you use any apps?
Yeah, we use Trello in our office. So that's one we use. In terms of apps, actually, I think one of the biggest apps in terms of which plugs into the ecosystem is probably like a digital accounting system. There are lots of applications out there. I'm not going to specify which ones are my particular favorite, though it begins with X. Spreadsheets are great, but spreadsheets really have limited value in terms of keeping a business's numbers in order here as well. So for me, that's a very powerful app that you can use in your business, not only just to keep on track on things, but help with your cash flow, help with monitoring what's going on. So for me, that's probably my favourite app at the moment.
Yeah. I mean, the app beginning with X is Xero. It sounds like it starts with a Z, doesn't it? I use that as well, and I've been using that before we'd even met each other, Mahmood. So do invoices in minutes, but other things, if you're not using them, if you're not using online cloud accounting, try project management software apps, really cheap, free versions available, like Slack, Asana, Monday, Trello. Find the one that you like. And also, you can use apps like Doodle, which allows you to schedule meetings when you've got people from different businesses and you can't see the calendars and stuff. Or Calendly is good. But document signing, if you've got contracts and things going out or documents that need to be signed, do that online, like DocuSign, or all of that sort of stuff saves so much time and so much admin. So have a really good think about how you can streamline your business, anything that's manual.
I mean, it's an interesting exercise there as well. I would probably say on that one, if I throw in a couple of others, and look, there are lots of applications, by the way, everybody. Me and Joe don't represent any of the IT vendors.
No affiliates.
It's about being smart with the technology that you use. So I use, for example, like Dubsado, which is a scheduler and sends out documentation. I also use something called Virtual Cabinet. And whatever you use, for me, what it's doing, and if you're looking at these and thinking, should I invest that time and energy? We talked last week about keeping a work diary, find out what your tasks are. You'll be surprised over how much you can process and put into a system which is electronic. And it's the time that you save. Even if you do a simple costing exercise, you will recoup that investment back. So for me, even if I don't use the software to its full capability, I found that it's paid back in spades with the time that I save, the time my staff save, the capacity it frees up. But you need a blend of the two.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've got a comment. Thank you, Kat. Oops. I found it hard to leave my spreadsheets behind, but I'm glad to say I switched to Xero. Oh, me too. And doing all those reconciliations and stuff manually between your bank account and everything else. So many time savers. And this stuff that's out there is really inexpensive, and it's really quick and easy to get set up. Usually by watching a 1-minute video, you can get on board.
There's a question for you, Joe. Let me put you on the spot on this one.
Yeah.
Now, there's some great productivity apps that we've talked about. I'll give you my personal preference in a second. Do you use any productivity measures in your business?
Yes. So the measure that I use is I use how long I anticipate something will take me versus how long it does, and I actually track that. And I've mentioned that on here before, on the show before, which is Toggl. I use Toggl, Toggl, to help me do that. There is a free version. I like extra features because I just like stuff like that. Yeah. It helps me, so I use those. I also use Toggl to help me with invoicing because, in terms of time or project costs and things like that, so it flows into that really nicely. So I look at, I've also started this year actually to track a lot more about how much free stuff I'm doing versus how much paid stuff, and looking to, I love helping people. I'm talking outside Growth Club, outside business, doing giving people a lot of free support. And I've actually been thinking about, tasking myself harder on that and being a bit more disciplined about it. So I'm actually tracking that and bringing that down and being really selective about the things that I do for free.
Good for you. I mean, I think the reason I asked the question is that in all these things that we're talking about, about using these things, and we've talked about KPIs, and you might be thinking, what's KPIs got to do with this? When you're doing something, you've got to be able to sort of track it and actually say, does it actually work? Does it meet the outcomes here? So it's not only about measuring, it's about managing what those measures are saying. I think those tools we've mentioned before are fantastic ones. Think about outcomes. So me and Joe look after a whole range of businesses, from, businesses that sell product to businesses that provide services, not-for-profits, charities. So you might want to look at outcomes. You might want to look at the outputs that you get compared to the inputs. But you need to be able to analyze what's going on. You need to be able to track and measure. you have a variety of KPIs, maybe no more than 2 or 3, and depending on what those outcomes are, what those KPI measures are saying, it may be going back and thinking, actually, this productivity measure is not as good as I thought, or actually it's doing great things there as well. And you'll be surprised, I think you'll be really pleased with what those productivity insights are giving you.
Yeah, it's, how do you know that you're improving? How do you know where to look to improve, unless you're doing that on data and with some real insight? Because what we think we're doing is often very different from the reality.
100%.
How long we feel something takes and how long we feel we spend doing something is actually different when it's measured. And that's part of human nature. So it's really good to get the stats, even if you just measure it for a week and see what's what. Also for collaboration, if you've got a distributed team, a remote team, many of us aren't working in the same office anymore or on the same premises location, or maybe you've got different branches in different spaces. These tools really facilitate remote working and remote collaboration. All of them, I think every single one that we've mentioned, which is a productivity hack in itself, isn't it?
Yeah, and all these things, folks, when we're talking about productivity hacks, just think about what the rationale behind it is. So if you're a business that's at the start of its business growth journey, so you're just starting up here, you may have tight budgeted resources, you may have capacity issues, you may not necessarily have the resources to grow what you are. So the more productive you are, the more efficient you become, the more you can deliver, the more you can do, the more money you save, the wealthier, the more profit you're likely to make. If you're at that second incremental growth and you're thinking, right, I need to grow to my next level, you'll typically find there'll be an extra layer of costs. You won't necessarily get the income at the same time. But if you're productive, if you keep an eye on that productivity throughput, what that means is, if you do grow quickly, you won't disappoint customers by not having the infrastructure and the capacity to deliver to them. So it's practical, but you've got to invest the time and the energy and you've got to get your mindset right. It's not just do it for a couple of days and that's it. You've got to build up that productivity muscle to be able to do it consistently.
Yeah, it's about changing habits, and it's so easy to stick to the same old ways of doing things. But actually, it's not that painful. And when you start to, there's a few things I've sort of put off trying. I sort of sense that they might save me some time, but it's an effort to get around to using the new thing. And as soon as I do, I think, oh, I wish I'd done this earlier. I wish I'd done this sooner, because I start to see the benefits. So it's about pushing through that resistance, giving it a go, and getting stuck in. And then I think once I'm stuck in, I'm hooked. It really works.
Okay, so here's the thing before we round up the show. If you, just like the Desert Island Disc here, if you could only choose one productivity hack and everything else has to get ditched, what would be the one single productivity hack, brackets tip, that you would keep?
Oh, okay. Does that have to be one that we've talked about, or can it be a different
No,
one?
talking anything you want.
I think the number one thing is to know where your priorities are. And as part of that, knowing what really counts towards making progress towards your priorities, and evaluate everything against those. You can change your priorities as life changes, but before you start to do something, or say yes to something, or say no to something, say, does this help me move forward with where I want to go? Is it necessary on that journey? And be really selective about where you spend your time, because whenever you say yes to something, of course, you're saying no to something else.
Okay, I like that one.
What about you?
I think it's quite similar, actually. I would say be fixed. For me, it's being fixed in what my destination point is, where I want to get to. Thinking about everything I do is really asking that critical question: does it help me get towards that end point? Or is it actually going to distract me? Is it going to take me sideways? If I'm not sure, that probably means I'm not that clear about where I want to end up for, and that's a bit fuzzy. So really, it's that clarity about endpoint that always guides the journey you're going to take.
Yeah, because if not, you'll be busy doing lots of things and being very productive, but there's nothing more unproductive than being productive in the wrong things that take you in the wrong direction. So yeah, lots of food for thought there. I hope you've really enjoyed the show, and we've got something really interesting again next week, something a little bit different for you, haven't we, Mahmood?
Yeah, do you think we should share it with everyone, what we're going to be talking about?
We're doing a 2-part series in behavioural economics for entrepreneurs. So it's really interesting. really practical, and some small tweaks that can make a massive difference. So if you don't know anything about behavioural economics, tune in to find out more. It is fascinating because it's all about people and what's really happening when they make decisions. So,
and it's practical and it's going to be relevant. Yeah. And if, we're going to adapt that from the big landscape and apply it to your businesses.
Yeah. So very focused. You will go away with things you can do right here, right now, to go and make a difference. So I think that's it, isn't it, for tonight?
It is. What a fantastic show. So listen, folks, thanks very much for joining us tonight.
And thank you, Mahmood, for doing your flip charting.
Okay, I might think if I can come up with a game for you next week. So listen, folks, log on, check out the Business Growth Club, join our mailing list. We're going to keep you in touch. We've got some tips coming into your inbox on a weekly basis. If you're interested in finding out more, just say Business Growth Club and you'll get some messages sent to you. Pop your name, comments in the chat box. We'll catch up with those and reply to them. But listen, we've got a free mailing list. We share tips with you on a weekly basis. So I'm excited about next week's show. So I suppose until then, it's bye-bye from me.
And bye from me. Thank you, Richard, as well. Thanks to you.
Thanks, Miranda. Thanks, Kat. Thanks, everyone, for joining us.
Thank you. Great to see you. See you next time.
I think we should play some music out, don't you?
Let's do it. Let's rock it. Hi there. Welcome to today's Business Growth Club show. We are so pleased to have you here. The theme is growth marketing.
We're talking about actions and consequences today.
It's all about purpose.
Driving business growth with using KPIs.
We're talking money mindset.
The Growth Club, I mean, not to oversell it, but it's so well organised. So yeah, it was totally invaluable.
The Growth Club, coupled alongside with the Masters that I'm doing at Strategic Leadership at the moment, both of those things happening collectively have definitely transformed, and the Growth Club did have a massive impact for our business.
What is it that attracted you to come to the Growth Club in the first place? Let me just ask you to start off with that.
Well, because it was the two of you, basically.